How about this question based on my loud public support for President Trump? Smash the like button if you believe that Los Angeles would have booed me just as loud, if not louder.
Now, let's just speak facts. Who's a bigger star? Hollywood Hulk Hogan or The Undertaker? Obviously, Hollywood Hulk Hogan is a bigger star. He always was. So, let's go back to why LA was booing Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And why not Mark Calloway? Because nobody knew that Mark Calloway was a Donald Trump supporter. That's the problem. Last time I checked, he's not Joe Rogan. He is not a bigger star than Joe Rogan. He is not a bigger podcaster than Joe Rogan. Nobody watched the Donald Trump Taker podcast. That's the problem. The only people who knew that Taker was a Trump guy were the people who watched his podcast. That did not make worldwide news like Hulk Hogan at the RNC. That made worldwide news. That was the biggest platform in politics, was the RNC. All eyes were on Hollywood Hulk Hogan. That's the main problem. He was loud. Taker was not loud in his support of the Donald. That's the main difference here. Who's your favorite wrestling guy on Twitter? Who's your favorite wrestling guy on Twitter? Jason X. I guarantee this. He did not bring up Donald Trump and Taker 2 months ago. Why? Nobody cared. Because not a lot of people watch the Taker podcast. Fun fact, that interview, it's still under 1 million views. Let me repeat. The president of the United States, he did a podcast with Taker 2 months ago. And yet, the video is not over 1 million views yet, which means not a lot of people knew about that interview, especially casuals in LA. So, by your logic, you think that the casuals in LA care about the Undertaker podcast? Of course not. They are casuals. Casuals mean whatever they see on the news, they are going to react to it. If they watch the news, that's the only thing that they know. Case in point, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. He made worldwide news at the RNC endorsing the Donald. He was over the top with it. That's the main issue here. Hogan was loud. He was over the top. He was going to rallies. Not so much Mark Calloway. That's the main issue here. Mark was loud. Hogan was not loud. So let's go back to Netflix. That was LA. That's called enemy territory. LA? You were talking about LA, man. LA did not vote for Donald Trump. They voted for Kamala fucking Harris. They don't like Trump. LA, listen, Los Angeles will always be a left-wing beta male city. Left-wing beta male nutjob city. Fun fact, it's hard to wear MAGA gear in Cali. That's hard. It takes balls, it takes guts to wear Donald Trump gear in Cali. When it comes to California, sometimes people give me dirty ass looks when I wear my Donald Trump hat. That's facts. So what makes you think that Hogan was not going to get booed in enemy territory? Last time I checked, Kamala Harris is from California. So let's do the fucking math. So I would say Hogan, he might have been Donald's loudest celebrity supporter next to Elon Musk, maybe Dana White, guys like that. But Hogan was loud because Hogan is a big time star. He will always be a bigger star over the Undertaker. That's facts. He's polarizing. If you watch every politics channel on YouTube, they were talking about Hollywood Hulk Hogan. They were not talking about Mark Calloway. They were not talking about how Taker interviewed the Donald. Nobody cared. Nobody watched. Literally, nobody watched that interview. So, Cali, we did not know that Taker was a Trump guy. Nobody knew. Because this is California. We are casuals. This is California. There's a lot to do out here. We are not following politics. We are not following Taker interviewing the Donald. We don't care. We got stuff to do out here. We are not following who is Mark Calloway interviewing on his podcast, nigga. This is Cali. The only thing that California knows were the people that were endorsing the Donald at his rallies, at the RNC. And that was Hollywood Hulk Hogan. First off, you don't know shit about Hollywood Hulk Hogan. The fact that there's dumbasses that are trying to say that Hollywood was booed because everything he's been doing for the past 10 years. Okay, you sound like a fucking dumbass. And here's why. Back in 2020, Bray Wyatt and Hogan, they had a segment. They had a promo battle segment on SmackDown. How come nobody booed Hogan in that segment? Please shut the fuck up. Nobody was booing Hollywood Hulk Hogan for the past 10 years. Okay? Nobody. Every time Vince McMahon invited back Hollywood Hulk Hogan, guess what? The crowd never booed him. Let's go back, right? Let's go back to the Raw Legends night. Remember the promo in the ring with Flair and Hogan? Nobody was booing Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Not one soul. So give me more facts. Yes, bitch, I'm yelling because I hate you people. That's why. I hate Hulk Hogan haters, right? Because you are all beta males in terms of you don't think for yourself. You follow the trends, right? I don't. I go by facts and evidence. The facts are, for the past, 5 years, nobody was booing Hollywood Hulk Hogan in any arenas. Every time they brought him back, he was never booed. So what are you talking about? He was booed because he's a Donald Trump guy. A loud Donald Trump guy. That's the problem. He was at the RNC, a huge platform in politics, not so much Taker. All he had was a fucking podcast. That's it. Nobody watches his podcast that was in that building. Let me repeat. Nobody watches Taker's podcast that was in LA booing Hogan. That's the problem. Nobody knew that Taker endorsed Donald Trump. First off, this is LA. Kamala Harris, she won LA. Nobody from LA voted for Donald Trump. Let me repeat. Go back and watch the voting results. Nobody in LA voted for Donald Trump. And where was Raw at? Raw was in LA. The place where they voted for Kamala Harris. And Hogan was a loud celebrity endorser of Donald Trump. So the fans of LA, they were aware that Hogan was a Trump guy, not so much Taker. They did not know that Taker was a Trump guy based on nobody watched that podcast, nobody watched that interview. That interview did not make worldwide news like Hollywood Hulk Hogan did. I watched every channel on YouTube that talked about politics. They covered Hulk Hogan at the RNC. They never talked about Taker interviewing Donald Trump. Go back and watch every politics channel around that time. Nobody gave two shits about Mark Calloway interviewing Donald Trump. They were talking about Hollywood Hulk Hogan at the RNC. Why? Because he's famous, he's big, he's polarizing, and he was over the top. That was a wrestling promo. So please, fuck you. Before Hollywood Hulk Hogan was at the RNC, nobody was booing him. You gave two shits about Hogan before the RNC. So please, fuck you. It had nothing to do with the N-word, his bad past. By that same logic, how come for the past 6 years on WWE TV, nobody was booing him? Nobody was booing him. So please, fuck you, man. You don't know shit. Nobody is tired of Hulk Hogan. So don't give me that dumbass excuse. He's a legend, icon, fuck you. It was all about, he was in a blue state. Cali is a blue state. At the end of the motherfucking day, Donald Trump lost California. Okay? He lost California in the last 2 elections. Joe Biden beat him in Cali. Who else? Kamala Harris beat him in Cali. So yes, Trump will never win California. I'm from California. You are not. People who are not from California, shut the fuck up. We call you foreigners, okay? We call you fucking out-of-towners. You are foreigners to us, okay? We don't respect you. Don't talk about politics in Cali. If you were not born and raised here, fuck you. Stay out of our business. Here in Cali, they don't like Trump. They don't like MAGA. The fact that Kamala Harris, she still won California, I'm like, wow, that is so brain dead and tone deaf. The same female who arrested parents just because their kids skipped school. The same woman, the same female who arrested tons of black men and tons of Latinos for petty crimes. That same female, yes, Callie voted for that female over Donald Trump. So Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he is the biggest MAGA supporter when it comes to being famous, a celebrity. And yes, Hogan is a recognizable face, not so much Taker. Hogan is polarizing, hence why he made worldwide news. Not a lot of people know who Taker is. Let's speak facts on facts, right? Okay, how about CNN? Even CNN, they covered Hollywood Hulk Hogan at the RNC. He made every news outlet when it came to politics. Why? Because everybody knows who Hollywood Hulk Hogan is. My God, I hate when you dumbass fans call this man racist. And here's what I mean. You fans, you are just as racist as he is. That's what I don't get it. All right? It's always the people with the most dirt in their closet, right? You want to call Hogan racist? Nigga, most of you wrestling fans are the most racist. Let's speak facts on facts. Do you know what comments I get? Yes. Do you know what comments I get on a daily basis? You fans are the most racist. So it's shocking to me that you hate Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Nigga, look in the mirror. You are just as racist as he is. That's facts. When it comes to fans of fake pro wrestling, they are the most racist. Please, fuck you. All you fans that watch me, most likely, you are just as racist as Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Based on the comments that I get every day, based on the hateful comments that I get every day from non-blacks. So, what makes you think you are any different or better than Hollywood Hulk Hogan? That's facts. No, I do not think that Hogan is a racist. Okay, let's be real. What if Triple H cut a promo at the RNC? What if Triple H, he spit out water at the RNC and he raised his arms? Yes, most likely, LA would have booed Triple H out the building. Why? Because that's called being over the top. Hogan was over the top. That was a wrestling promo at the RNC. Once again, it had nothing to do with Hogan's past on why he was booed. It had nothing to do with any tapes, any sex tapes, no nothing, okay? By that same logic, hold on, that was years ago. Those tapes were years ago, so how come you were not booing him last year? How come you weren't booing him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? What has changed? Nothing. Nothing has fucking changed. Those tapes ain't going nowhere, so how come nobody was booing him for the past 5-6 years on TV? So why now? It means that yes, nigga, I'm fucking right. He was booed because he's a Trump guy, a loud Trump supporter, just like Elon Musk. Hell, I think Elon Musk, he would have gotten booed if he was there. Who else? Dana White. Dana White, he would have gotten booed if he was there. That's my point, man. Stop being brain dead. Stop being a fucking dummy. Stop being a dummy. Like, just like what Eli Drake says. Stop being a dummy. Yeah. Okay, you heard what he said on those tapes. So how come you were not booing him on SmackDown back in 2020, man? How come you were not booing him at the Raw anniversary show with Ric Flair, man? Shut the fuck up. He shows up all the time, every year. Nobody boos him. And they heard what he said on those tapes. So how am I wrong here? He was in a blue state. He's a MAGA guy in a blue fucking state. Hold on, man. You can make the argument that the Ultimate Warrior was more hated than Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And that is a fact. Because the Warrior, man, he went off the rails 15 years ago, way before Hollywood Hulk Hogan did. So yes, even the Warrior was more hated than Hollywood Hulk Hogan for a time period. Nobody in LA knows that the Undertaker is a Trump guy. And I'm done.